Chapter 1. Ben's World. Ben Craft believed in two things: good design and honest answers. Everything else was negotiable. On a Tuesday morning, he sat at his kitchen table, sipping coffee from a mug that read Helvetica forever. His apartment was neat but not obsessively so, just enough order to keep his mind clear. The walls were dotted with framed prints he designed himself. Bold colors, clean lines, no frills. That was Ben in a nutshell. He scrolled through his phone, ignoring the dating app notifications his best friend had installed for his own good. Ben wasn't against dating. He just didn't see the point in pretending to be someone he wasn't. And apparently, being himself, literal, straightforward, and occasionally oblivious, wasn't trending in the romance department. The door buzzed. Ben opened it to find his best friend, Tyler, grinning like a man who had just invented chaos. "Morning, sunshine," Tyler said, breezing in without waiting for an invitation. "You look average." "Thanks," Ben replied. "That's accurate." Tyler dropped a paper bag on the counter. "Bagels, because carbs are happiness." Ben nodded. "That's true." Tyler eyed him. "You know, most people would say, 'Thanks for the bagels.'" "I didn't ask for bagels," Ben said, puzzled. "But I appreciate them." Tyler laughed. "You're impossible." "I'm literal," Ben corrected. "Same thing," Tyler muttered, pouring himself coffee. "So, big news. You're going to a singles mixer Friday night." Ben blinked. "No, I'm not." "Yes, you are," Tyler said, waving his phone like a magic wand. "I already RSVP'd for you." Ben frowned. "You responded for me without asking?" "Yep. You're welcome." "That's not welcome," Ben said. "That's theft of choice." Tyler grinned. "Semantics. Look, you've been single for 2 years. 2 years. It's time." Ben shrugged. "I'm fine." "Fine is boring," Tyler said. "You need excitement. Adventure. Maybe someone who laughs at your weird honesty instead of throwing wine in your face." Ben winced at the memory. "That was one time. And it was epic," Tyler said. "Anyway, Friday, 7 o'clock. Wear something that says, 'I'm approachable but mysterious.'" Ben tilted his head. "That's contradictory." "Exactly," Tyler said. "Women love contradictions." Ben considered this. "Do they?" "Yes," Tyler said confidently. "Now, tell me you're in." "I'm not in," Ben said. "You're in," Tyler said, grabbing his coat. "See you Friday." The door closed behind him, leaving Ben with his coffee, his bagels, and a growing sense of impending disaster. Later that day, at his design studio, Ben was reviewing a client's logo when his coworker, Mia, leaned over his desk. "Hey Ben," she said. "What do you do?" Ben looked up, confused. "Do about what?" Mia blinked. "About your job?" "Oh," Ben said. "Graphic design." Mia chuckled. "You're funny." "I wasn't joking," Ben said. "I know," Mia said, smiling. "That's what makes it funny." Ben stared after her, wondering why honesty was considered comedy. That evening, Tyler texted, "Mixers at the Velvet Room. Dress code, smart casual. Don't wear your Helvetica shirt." Ben replied, "What's smart casual?" Tyler sent back, "Google it." Ben did. The results were vague. Smart casual seemed to mean look good but not too good, which was, in Ben's opinion, useless information. He sighed. Friday was going to be interesting. Chapter 2. The invitation, Friday, arrived faster than Ben expected, which was saying something because he'd spent most of Thursday Googling smart casual and still felt like he was preparing for a costume party with no theme. His final choice was a navy button-down shirt, dark jeans, and clean sneakers. Tyler had vetoed the sneakers via text, so Ben swapped them for loafers he'd bought 3 years ago for a wedding and worn exactly once. At 6:45 p.m., Ben stood in front of his bathroom mirror, practicing small talk like it was a foreign language. "Hi, I'm Ben," he said to his reflection. "I do graphic design." Pause. "Not do about what? Just, I do graphic design." He sighed. This was ridiculous. People didn't rehearse greetings unless they were auditioning for a play. Still, he knew his tendency to take things literally could turn a simple question into a philosophical debate. His phone buzzed. "Tyler, on my way. Don't bail. If you bail, I'll tell everyone you collect ceramic frogs." Ben typed back, "I don't collect ceramic frogs." Tyler replied instantly, "Exactly. But they don't know that." Ben pocketed his phone and muttered, "Chaos wrapped in friendship." The Velvet Room was dimly lit, with soft jazz playing and clusters of people chatting over cocktails. Ben followed Tyler inside, scanning the room like he was entering a wildlife documentary. Everyone looked normal, which somehow made him more nervous. "Okay," Tyler said, clapping him on the shoulder. "Rule number 1, smile. Rule number 2, don't mention weight, frogs, or fonts." "I wasn't planning to," Ben said. "Good," Tyler said. "Now mingle." Ben frowned. "Mingle is vague." Tyler groaned. "Talk to people. Ask questions. Pretend you're interested." "I am interested," Ben said. "In honesty." "Then be honest," Tyler said. "Just charmingly honest." Ben opened his mouth to ask what charmingly honest meant, but Tyler had already vanished into the crowd like a magician abandoning his assistant. Ben approached the bar, ordered a club soda, and tried to look approachable. A woman in a red dress slid onto the stool next to him. She had curly hair, bright eyes, and an expression that suggested she was amused by life in general. "Hi," she said. "I'm Lila." Ben nodded. "Ben, first time at one of these?" she asked. "Yes," Ben said. "Is that relevant?" Lila blinked, then laughed. "I guess not. Just making conversation." "Oh," Ben said. "Then yes, it's my first time." She smiled. "So, what do you do?" Ben hesitated, then remembered his mirror rehearsal. "I do graphic design." "Nice," Lila said. "Creative type." Ben considered this. "I suppose, though creativity is subjective." Lila tilted her head. "You're very precise." "I like accuracy," Ben said. "It prevents confusion." She laughed again, and Ben felt a flicker of relief. At least she wasn't throwing wine in his face. "So," Lila said, sipping her drink, "what brings you here?" "Looking for love." Ben thought about that. Statistically, that seems unlikely. Her eyebrows rose. "Wow, brutally honest." "I thought honesty was good," Ben said. "It is," she said, smiling. "Just unexpected." Ben nodded. "I get that a lot." They talked for another 20 minutes. Lila was quick-witted, tossing playful remarks that Ben tried to catch like butterflies. Sometimes he succeeded. Sometimes they fluttered away, leaving him puzzled. But she didn't seem bothered. In fact, she seemed entertained. When Tyler reappeared, grinning like a proud parent, Ben was still at the bar with Lila. "Look at you," Tyler whispered. "Talking to a human female." Ben frowned. "Why specify human?" "Because it's a miracle," Tyler said. "So, what's her name?" "Lila," Ben said. Tyler winked at Lila. "Great taste in names." Lila laughed. "Your friend's funny." Ben shook his head. "He's chaotic." "Chaos can be fun," Lila said, sliding off her stool. "Nice meeting you, Ben." "You too," Ben said. Accurate statement. She smiled as she walked away, leaving Ben with a strange feeling in his chest, something between curiosity and hope. Tyler leaned in. "You like her?" Ben shrugged. "She's interesting." "That's Ben speak for I'm smitten," Tyler said. "Get her number." Ben blinked. "Why?" "So you can talk to her again," Tyler said. "That's how dating works." Ben considered this. "Logical." "Then do it," Tyler said. Ben looked toward the door where Lila had disappeared. He wasn't sure if he'd see her again, but for the first time in 2 years, he wanted to try. Chapter 3, First Encounter. Again, Ben didn't expect to see Lila again. The mixer had felt like a one-time social experiment, something Tyler would brag about later, while Ben quietly filed it under mildly successful. But life, as Ben had learned, was full of surprises, some pleasant, some confusing, occasionally both. It was Saturday afternoon, and Ben was at his favorite coffee shop, a cozy place with mismatched chairs and chalkboard menus that made him wonder why people romanticized handwriting when fonts existed. He was halfway through a cappuccino and sketching logo ideas in his notebook when someone tapped his shoulder. "Ben, right?" He turned. Lila stood there, wearing jeans and a green sweater, her hair pulled back in a loose bun. She looked approachable, which was ironic, because Ben had never understood what approachable meant in practice. "Yes," he said. "That's accurate." She smiled. "I thought so. You were at the mixer last night." "I was," Ben said. "You were too." Her laugh was quick and warm. "Glad we cleared that up." Ben closed his notebook. "Do you need this chair?" "No," she said. "I was just saying hi." "Oh," Ben said. "Then hi." She tilted her head. "You're funny." "I'm not trying to be," Ben said. "That's what makes it funny," she said, echoing Mia's words from 2 days ago. Was this a pattern? Did people find honesty inherently humorous? "Do you want to sit?" Ben asked, gesturing to the empty chair across from him. "Sure," she said, sliding into the seat. "I was grabbing coffee anyway." Ben nodded. "Coffee is practical." She grinned. "So, what are you working on?" "Logo concepts," Ben said. "For a client who wants something modern but timeless," which is contradictory. Lila laughed. "You really don't let vague phrases slide, do you?" "They're inefficient," Ben said. "Words should mean things." "I like that," she said. "Most people just nod and pretend." Ben considered this. "Pretending seems dishonest." "Sometimes it's polite," she said. Ben frowned. "Politeness and dishonesty overlap?" "Sometimes," she said. "Like when someone asks if you like their haircut and you say yes even if you don't." Ben thought about that. Wouldn't it be better to say, "It's not my preference, but if you like it, that's what matters?" She laughed so hard she nearly spilled her coffee. "You're something else, Ben." "Something else what?" he asked. "Just something else," she said, shaking her head. They talked for an hour. About design, books, why people say literally when they mean figuratively. Ben found himself enjoying the conversation in a way that felt easy. No pretense. No guessing games, well, fewer guessing games than usual. When Lila stood to leave, she hesitated. Hey, do you want to exchange numbers? Ben blinked. For what purpose? So we can talk again, she said, smiling. That's logical, Ben said, pulling out his phone. They swapped numbers, and Ben felt a small, unexpected spark of anticipation. He didn't know what this was, friendship, potential romance, or just a pleasant anomaly. But he knew one thing. He wanted to see where it went. That evening, Tyler called. Tell me you got her number, Tyler said without preamble. I did, Ben said. Tyler whooped. My man. So what's next? You gonna text her? Yes, Ben said. But I need to plan my wording. Tyler groaned. Ben, it's a text, not a thesis. Words matter, Ben said. If I say, how are you? She might think I'm asking about her emotional state, physical health, or general life satisfaction. That's too broad. Just say, hey, wanna grab coffee sometime? Tyler said. Ben paused. But we already had coffee. Then say, want to hang out? Tyler suggested. Ben frowned. Hang out where? Doing what? That's vague. Tyler made a strangled noise. Ben, just text her something normal. Ben sighed. Define normal. Tyler hung up. Ben stared at his phone for a long time before typing. Hello, Lila. Would you like to meet again for a social activity of your choice? He read it twice. Precise. Clear. No ambiguity. He hit send. 5 minutes later, her reply popped up. You're adorable. How about lunch tomorrow? Ben smiled. Adorable wasn't a word he'd ever associated with himself, but he liked the sound of it. Chapter 4. Misinterpretations multiply. Sunday afternoon was bright and breezy, the kind of day that made people post pictures captioned perfect weather. Ben didn't post pictures. He didn't see the point in announcing meteorological conditions to strangers. But he did appreciate the sunlight streaming through the windows of the cafe where he was meeting Lila for lunch. He arrived 10 minutes early, because on time was ambiguous and early was safe, and chose a table by the window. He ordered water and reviewed the menu like it was a contract. Words mattered, even in food descriptions. Artisan bread was vague. Did it mean handmade? By whom? And why did farm-to-table sound like a logistical nightmare? Ben! Lila's voice pulled him from his analysis. She walked in wearing a denim jacket and a smile that seemed to brighten the room. Ben stood, because standing when someone arrives felt polite, though he wasn't entirely sure why, and gestured to the chair across from him. Hi, he said. You're punctual. She laughed. Thanks, I think. It's a compliment, Ben clarified. Punctuality is underrated. I'll take it, she said, sitting down. So what looks good? Ben glanced at the menu. The grilled chicken sandwich seems honest. Lila blinked. Honest. It says grilled chicken, lettuce, tomato, and mayo, Ben explained. No unnecessary adjectives. She laughed. You're amazing. I'm accurate, Ben said. They ordered and conversation flowed, mostly. Ben was doing his best to catch nuances, but they were slippery things. When Lila said, I could eat a horse, Ben frowned and replied, that's illegal and impractical. She laughed so hard the waiter looked concerned. Later, when she mentioned she was obsessed with a new TV show, Ben asked if she needed professional help for compulsive behavior. She laughed again, but Ben wasn't sure if that was good or bad. You really take things literally, don't you? She said, sipping her iced tea. Yes, Ben said. It's my default setting. Does that ever cause problems? She asked gently. Yes, Ben said. In past relationships, someone once asked if a dress made her look like she was gaining weight. I explained that weight gain usually makes people look like they're gaining weight. Lila choked on her tea. Oh my God. She threw wine in my face, Ben added. It was educational. Lila laughed until tears formed. Ben, you're wow. Is that good? He asked. It's unique, she said, smiling. And honestly, kind of refreshing. Ben felt something warm in his chest. Unique sounded better than weird. Refreshing sounded better than problematic. After lunch, they walked outside. The breeze tugged at Lila's hair, and Ben noticed how the sunlight caught the copper strands. He wasn't sure if it was appropriate to mention that observation, so he kept it to himself. This was fun, Lila said. We should do it again. Ben nodded. That's logical. She grinned. Text me later? Yes, Ben said. But I'll need to plan my wording. She laughed. Don't overthink it. That's difficult, Ben admitted. Try, she said, touching his arm lightly before walking away. Ben watched her go, feeling something he hadn't felt in a long time. Anticipation mixed with hope, and maybe, just maybe, a little fear, because nuance was everywhere, and he was still learning the language. That evening, Ben sat on his couch, phone in hand, drafting a text. He typed, Hello, Lila. I enjoyed our lunch. Would you like to schedule another meeting for food consumption and conversation? He stared at it. Precise, yes, but maybe too precise? He deleted meeting and replaced it with time, then deleted food consumption and wrote dinner. That seemed socially acceptable. Final version, I enjoyed lunch today. Would you like to have dinner sometime this week? He hit send and waited. Her reply came quickly. Absolutely. How about Thursday? Ben smiled. Progress. Real progress. Chapter 5. The almost date disaster. Thursday evening found Ben standing in front of his closet, staring at shirts like they were riddles. Dinner with Lila sounded simple enough, but Tyler had texted him earlier with unsolicited advice. Dress sharp. Not funeral sharp. Not wedding sharp. Just sharp. Ben had spent 10 minutes wondering what funeral sharp meant before deciding on a crisp white button-down and dark gray slacks. Neutral. Safe. Sharpish. He arrived at the restaurant 15 minutes early, because on time was still ambiguous, and requested a table for two. The hostess smiled and said, Would you like to wait at the bar? Ben frowned. No, I'd like to wait here. She blinked, then nodded slowly. Okay, I'll let you know when your table's ready. Ben stood near the podium like a sentry until Lila walked in, looking radiant in a navy dress that made Ben think of midnight skies. He didn't say that out loud because he wasn't sure if comparing someone to atmospheric conditions was romantic or weird. Hi, she said, smiling. You look nice. Thank you, Ben said. You look aesthetically pleasing. Her laugh rang out like music. I'll take it. They were seated at a cozy corner table. Ben opened the menu and immediately frowned. What's wrong? Lila asked. This says market vegetables, Ben said. Which market? And why don't they specify the vegetables? Lila grinned. It's just a fancy way of saying seasonal veggies. Then they should say that, Ben said. Precision matters. She laughed. You're adorable. Ben tilted his head. People keep saying that. Is it a compliment or a diminutive? It's a compliment, she said, still smiling. Ben nodded, filing that away for future reference. The waiter arrived. Can I start you off with drinks? Yes, Ben said. Water. The waiter turned to Lila. And for you? Just a glass of red wine, she said. Ben frowned. Which red wine? There are hundreds. The waiter smiled politely. We have a house Cabernet. Ben opened his mouth to ask what made it the house wine, but Lila touched his hand lightly. That's fine, she said to the waiter. Ben closed his mouth. He was learning, slowly. Things were going well until the conversation turned to hobbies. I love hiking, Lila said. I try to hit the trails every weekend. Ben nodded. That sounds dangerous. She blinked. Dangerous. Wild animals. Uneven terrain. Risk of injury, Ben said. Why not walk on a sidewalk? It's safer. Lila laughed. Because sidewalks don't lead to waterfalls. True, Ben said. But they also don't lead to emergency rooms. She shook her head, smiling. You're something else. Then came the moment that derailed the evening. So, Lila said, swirling her wine. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Ben thought carefully. In 5 years, I'll be 34. Statistically, I'll still be alive, barring accidents or illness. Lila stared at him. I meant life goals. Oh, Ben said. You didn't specify. She laughed, but it sounded strained. Okay, let me rephrase. Do you want marriage? Kids? Ben hesitated. Eventually, but not immediately. I'd need to optimize my communication first. Her eyebrows rose. Optimize. Yes, Ben said. Relationships require nuance. I'm still learning. Lila set down her glass. Ben, you're very honest. That's good, right? He asked. She smiled faintly. Usually. The rest of dinner was pleasant but quieter. When they said goodbye outside the restaurant, Lila hugged him lightly. Thanks for dinner, she said. You're welcome, Ben said. Accurate statement. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. I'll text you. Ben watched her walk away, a knot forming in his stomach. He replayed the evening in his head, wondering which sentence had tipped the balance. Maybe all of them. Later, Tyler called. How'd it go? He asked. Define go, Ben said. Tyler groaned. Ben. She said she'd text me, Ben said. But her smile lacked authenticity. Tyler sighed. Okay, new plan. You need to learn nuance. Fast. Ben stared at the ceiling. That's like saying I need to learn gravity. Start small, Tyler said. Next time, don't mention emergency rooms during romantic conversations. Ben nodded slowly. Logical. Ben didn't know if there would be a next time, but he hoped there would. Because despite the missteps, he liked Lila. And for the first time in years, he wanted to try, even if trying meant navigating a world full of words that didn't mean what they said. Chapter 6. Ben's effort. Ben had never Googled how to read between the lines before, but after Thursday night's dinner, he typed it into the search bar like a man preparing for battle. The results were disappointing. Vague advice about emotional intelligence and social cues, none of which came with diagrams or step-by-step instructions. Ben liked diagrams. Diagrams made sense, so he called Tyler. I need help, Ben said. Tyler groaned theatrically. Finally, the first step is admitting you have a problem. I don't have a problem, Ben said. I have a skill gap. Same thing, Tyler said. What happened? Did you tell her hiking was a death trap? Yes, Ben said. Accurate observation. Tyler laughed so hard Ben had to hold the phone away from his ear. Okay, buddy. We're doing a crash course in nuance. Ben frowned. Is that a real course? It is now, Tyler said. Lesson 1. When someone says, I could eat a horse, they don't mean it literally. I know that now, Ben said. But why say it? Because it's an expression, Tyler said. People use expressions to sound colorful. Colorful is visual, Ben said. Words aren't colors. Tyler groaned. Ben, stop. Just meet me at my place. We're doing drills. Tyler's apartment looked like a frat house that had survived a hurricane. Pizza boxes, video game controllers, and a suspiciously large beanbag chair dominated the living room. Tyler handed Ben a beer and sat across from him like a coach about to train an athlete. Okay, Tyler said. I'm going to say things, and you tell me what they mean. Ben nodded. Logical. First one, break a leg. Ben frowned. That's harmful advice. Tyler slapped his forehead. No, it means good luck. Why? Ben asked. Luck and leg injuries aren't related. Because theater people are weird, Tyler said. Next, spill the beans. Ben blinked. Clean up the mess? Tyler groaned. No, it means reveal a secret. Ben stared. That's inefficient. Ben, Tyler said, pointing at him. You don't have to understand why. You just have to know what they mean. Ben considered this. Memorization without comprehension feels dishonest. Tyler threw a pillow at him. Welcome to social life. They spent an hour going through idioms, metaphors, and phrases that made Ben question humanity's commitment to clarity. Kick the bucket didn't involve buckets. Piece of cake didn't involve dessert. By the end, Ben's brain felt like a tangled ball of yarn. Okay, Tyler said, leaning back. Lesson 2, tone. Ben frowned. Tone is auditory. Yes, Tyler said. But it changes meaning. Like if someone says, fine in a sharp tone, they're not fine. Ben blinked. Then why say fine? Because people lie, Tyler said. Ben stared. That seems counterproductive. Tyler laughed. Welcome to relationships. When Ben left Tyler's apartment, he felt overwhelmed, but also determined. He wasn't trying to become someone else. He just wanted to understand enough to avoid accidental disasters. And maybe, just maybe, make Lila smile for the right reasons. That night, Ben texted Lila. Hello? I hope your day was good. Would you like to schedule another dinner? I promise not to mention emergency rooms. Her reply came quickly. Haha, you're funny. Sure. How about Saturday? Ben smiled. Progress. Real progress. Chapter 7. The turning point. Saturday morning started like any other for Ben. Coffee, clean lines, and a quiet apartment. He was reviewing a client's color palette when his phone buzzed. It wasn't Lila confirming dinner plans. It was Lila sounding different. Lila. Hey. Sorry to ask this, but could you do me a huge favor? Ben frowned. Define huge. Lila. My car won't start. I'm supposed to pick up my niece from her dance class in an hour. Could you give me a ride? Ben stared at the screen. He wasn't a mechanic. He wasn't a chauffeur. But he was a person who liked clear requests, and this one was clear. Yes. Send address. 5 minutes later, Ben was in his car, GPS guiding him to a small apartment complex across town. Lila was waiting outside, looking frazzled in jeans and a hoodie, her hair pulled into a messy bun. Even frazzled, she looked luminous. You're a lifesaver, she said as she slid into the passenger seat. Ben shook his head. Technically, I'm a driver. She laughed, tension easing from her shoulders. Fair enough. The drive was quiet at first, then filled with snippets of conversation. About her niece, about how cars always break down at the worst possible time, about why dance recitals require so much glitter. Ben listened, occasionally asking questions that made Lila laugh. You really don't sugarcoat anything, do you? She said at one point. Sugar is for food, Ben replied. Not statements. She laughed again, and Ben felt that warm flicker in his chest, the one that had started at the mixer and grown steadily since. They arrived at the dance studio, where a swarm of tiny ballerinas in pink tutus spilled out like confetti. Lila's niece, a 7-year-old with curls and confidence, ran up and hugged her. Aunt Lila, she squealed. Who's that? This is Ben, Lila said. He's a friend. Ben crouched down. Hello, I'm Ben. The girl eyed him suspiciously. You look serious. I'm focused, Ben said. It's different. She giggled. You're funny. Ben blinked. Everyone keeps saying that. On the way back, the niece chattered nonstop about pirouettes and costumes. Ben listened, occasionally asking clarifying questions like, what's the structural difference between a pirouette and a spin? The niece answered with dramatic demonstrations in the back seat, and Lila laughed until tears formed. You're amazing with her, Lila said softly as they pulled into her driveway. I asked questions, Ben said. That's basic interaction. Not everyone does, she said, smiling. Thank you, Ben. Really. You're welcome, he said. Accurate statement. She lingered by the car, looking at him in a way that made his pulse tick faster. You know, she said. Most guys would have made an excuse. Ben frowned. Why? Because it's inconvenient, she said. Ben shook his head. Helping someone isn't inconvenient. It's logical. Her smile widened. You're something else. Ben tilted his head. Still undefined. She laughed, then leaned in and kissed his cheek. A quick, warm press that left him stunned. See you tonight, she said, walking toward her apartment. Ben sat in his car for a full minute processing. His cheek tingled. His chest felt buoyant. And for the first time in years, he didn't overanalyze it. He just smiled. Chapter 8. The Big Misunderstanding. Dinner that night was at a trendy bistro Tyler had recommended. Romantic but not intimidating, he'd said. Ben wasn't sure what that meant, but the place had candles and soft music, so he assumed it qualified. Lila arrived looking effortlessly elegant in a black dress and boots. Ben stood when she approached because he'd read that standing was polite, and he was determined to get at least one nuance right tonight. You look great, he said. She smiled. Thanks, so do you. Ben nodded. Accurate statement. Her laugh was warm, and for a moment, Ben felt confident. Maybe Tyler's crash course was paying off. They ordered and conversation flowed easily, until dessert menus arrived. I shouldn't, Lila said, scanning the options. I've been trying to cut back. Ben frowned. On sugar. On calories, she said lightly. Gotta keep the dress fitting. Ben considered this. Technically, if you consume fewer calories than you burn, your weight stabilizes. But if you consume more, you'll gain weight. Lila froze, her smile faltering. Wow. Ben blinked. What? Nothing, she said, voice tight. Just, thanks for the reminder. I wasn't reminding, Ben said quickly. I was clarifying. Her laugh was sharp now. Clarifying that I'll get fat if I eat dessert? Ben's stomach dropped. No, I meant, statistically, Ben, she said, cutting him off. Stop. He stopped, because when someone said stop, that was clear. The rest of dinner was quiet. Lila smiled when necessary, but it was the kind of smile Tyler had warned him about, the one that didn't reach the eyes. When they walked outside, the air felt colder than it had an hour ago. Thanks for dinner, she said, her tone polite but distant. You're welcome, Ben said, panic fluttering in his chest. Did I say something wrong? She stared at him. Do you really not know? I was trying to be accurate, Ben said helplessly. Sometimes accuracy isn't the point, she said softly. Sometimes kindness is. Ben opened his mouth, then closed it. Because what could he say? He wasn't unkind. He was honest. But maybe honesty in the wrong context felt like a blade. I'll talk to you later, she said, turning away. Ben watched her go, the knot in his stomach tightening until it felt like a fist. He replayed the moment in his head, searching for the exact word that had tipped the balance. Calories? Weight? Clarifying? All of them? When he got home, Tyler called. How'd it go? Tyler asked. Ben stared at the ceiling. Disastrous. What happened? I explained calorie balance, Ben said. Tyler groaned so loudly Ben winced. Ben, no, you never talk about weight. Ever. She brought it up, Ben said. I thought she wanted facts. Ben, Tyler said, voice gentle now. She wanted reassurance. Ben closed his eyes. I don't know how to do that. Yes, you do, Tyler said. You just overthink it. Ben didn't argue, because maybe Tyler was right. Maybe nuance wasn't something you could memorize like idioms. Maybe it was something you felt. And Ben wasn't sure he knew how. He stared at his phone for a long time, wondering if Lila would text, wondering if he should apologize, wondering if honesty had cost him something he didn't want to lose. Chapter 9. Ben's realization. Ben sat on his couch, staring at the ceiling like it held answers. Didn't. Ceilings were good for structural integrity, not emotional clarity. His phone lay on the coffee table, silent. No text from Lila. No call. Just the echo of her words. Sometimes accuracy isn't the point. Sometimes kindness is. He replayed the dinner in his mind, dissecting every sentence like a forensic linguist. He hadn't meant to hurt her. He'd meant to be truthful. But maybe truth, delivered without cushioning, felt like a blow instead of a gift. Tyler's voice from earlier drifted back. She wanted reassurance. Ben frowned. Reassurance wasn't dishonest. It was prioritizing someone's feelings over technical precision. Could he do that without feeling like he was lying? He opened his notebook, the one he used for design sketches, and wrote 2 columns. Column A, accuracy. Column B, kindness. Under accuracy, he wrote, calories determine weight. Under kindness, he wrote, you look great. Dessert won't change that. He stared at the second sentence. It was true. Lila looked great. Dessert wouldn't change that in any meaningful way. So why hadn't he said it? Because he'd been too busy clarifying. Ben closed the notebook and exhaled slowly. Maybe nuance wasn't about abandoning truth. Maybe it was about choosing which truth mattered most in the moment. And right now, the truth that mattered was this: he liked Lila. He didn't want to lose her because he couldn't speak her language. He picked up his phone and typed, Lila, I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to hurt you. I was trying to be clear. But I forgot that clarity isn't the same as kindness. You looked amazing. Dessert wouldn't have changed that. I'd really like a chance to make it up to you. He read it twice. Honest. Simple. No jargon. He hit send before he could overthink it. Then he waited. Minutes crawled by like hours. He considered distracting himself with work, but his brain was a carousel of what-ifs. What if she didn't reply? What if she was done? What if nuance was a mountain he couldn't climb? Then his phone buzzed. Lila. That's the sweetest apology I've ever gotten. You're different, Ben. But in a good way. Let's talk tomorrow. Ben stared at the screen, relief washing over him like warm sunlight. Tomorrow. That was a second chance. And he wasn't going to waste it. He called Tyler. She replied. Ben said. Tyler whooped. My man. What did you say? I acknowledged the emotional impact of my words, Ben said, and expressed a desire for reconciliation. Tyler laughed. Translation. You apologized. Yes, Ben said. Effectively. Tyler chuckled. Proud of you, buddy. So what's the plan? Ben looked at his notebook at the word kindness underlined twice. The plan, he said slowly, is to show her that being literal doesn't mean I can't be thoughtful. Tyler grinned through the phone. Now that's the spirit. Ben hung up and sat back, a quiet determination settling over him. He wasn't perfect. He might never master nuance the way other people did. But he could master sincerity. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough. Tomorrow he'd prove it. Chapter 10. The grand gesture, Ben style Sunday morning. Ben woke up with a plan. Not Tyler's kind of plan, loud, chaotic, and involving questionable props, but a plan that felt true to him. He wasn't going to buy roses or hire a skywriter. He was going to do something that spoke his language. Clarity, creativity, and sincerity. He spent 2 hours at his desk, sketching, refining, and printing. When he was done, he had a stack of cards, each with bold, clean typography and a single sentence. No fluff, no ambiguity, just truth. At noon, he drove to Lila's apartment, heart thudding like a bass drum. He texted her. I'm outside. I have something for you. She replied, curious. Coming down. Ben stood by his car, cards in hand, when Lila appeared. She looked casual. Jeans, sneakers, hair in a ponytail, but her expression was cautious. Understandable, given Thursday's disaster. Hi, she said. What's this? Ben took a breath. These are clarifications. Her eyebrows rose. Clarifications. Yes, Ben said. Because I realized something. Accuracy matters. But so does kindness. And I can do both. He handed her the first card. It read, you looked amazing at dinner. That was true. I should have said it. Lila blinked, then smiled faintly. Okay. He gave her the second card. Dessert wouldn't have changed that. Also true. Her lips curved. Ben. Third card. I like you. That's the most important truth. Her smile widened, softening her eyes. Ben, this is wow. He handed her the rest, simple statements, each one honest and warm. I'm learning. For you. I don't want perfect. I want real. You make me laugh, even when I don't understand why. By the time she reached the last card, can we start over? Her eyes were shining. Ben, she said, voice thick with emotion. This is the sweetest thing anyone's ever done for me. It's accurate, Ben said quietly. And sincere. She laughed through tears, then stepped forward and hugged him. Tight, like she never wanted to let go. You're different, she whispered. But in the best way. Ben hugged her back, relief flooding his chest. So, yes, she said, pulling back just enough to look at him. Absolutely yes. As they stood there, sunlight spilling across the pavement, Ben realized something. Nuance wasn't about abandoning who he was. It was about adding layers, soft edges to hard truths. And maybe, just maybe, he was getting the hang of it. Chapter 11. The first official date. Ben had never been nervous about dinner before. Food was predictable. Menus were structured. But tonight wasn't just dinner. It was their first official date after the grand gesture that had somehow worked. Lila had texted him yesterday. Pick me up at 7. Surprise me. Ben stared at those 2 words. Surprise me. For a full hour. Surprise was the opposite of clarity. Surprise was chaos disguised as fun. But he wanted to make her happy. So he brainstormed until he landed on something that felt safe yet unexpected. A rooftop garden cafe with string lights and live acoustic music. Romantic, but not intimidating. Tyler would approve. At 6:55, Ben pulled up to Lila's apartment. She stepped outside wearing a soft cream sweater and jeans, her hair loose around her shoulders. She smiled when she saw him, and the knot in Ben's chest loosened. You look great, he said. Thanks, she said, sliding into the passenger seat. So, where are we going? A rooftop cafe, Ben said. It has plants and lights. And chairs. She laughed. Chairs are a good feature. I thought so, Ben said seriously. The cafe was perfect, warm lights strung overhead, soft music drifting through the air, and the scent of herbs from potted plants lining the terrace. Lila looked around, impressed. Ben, this is amazing. It's accurate, Ben said. The description matched reality. She laughed, shaking her head. You're impossible. I'm literal, he corrected. Same thing, she teased. They ordered food. Lila chose pasta. Ben picked grilled salmon and settled into easy conversation. This time, Ben focused less on precision and more on presence. When Lila said, I've been craving carbs all week, he didn't launch into a lecture on macronutrients. He just smiled and said, then you picked the perfect dish. Her grin was radiant. Look at you, Mr. Nuance. I'm learning, Ben said. Slowly. And I appreciate it, she said softly. Halfway through dinner, the musicians started playing a familiar tune. Couples drifted to the open space near the railing, swaying under the lights. Lila glanced at Ben, eyes sparkling. Dance with me. Ben froze. I don't dance. Neither do I, she said, standing and holding out her hand. Come on. It's not about skill. Ben hesitated, then took her hand. Her fingers were warm, steady. She led him to the makeshift dance floor, and they moved awkwardly at first, Ben counting steps in his head like a math problem, but then something shifted. He stopped thinking and just moved, slowly, carefully, honestly. You're doing great, Lila whispered. I'm not, Ben said. But I'm trying. That's what matters, she said, smiling up at him. When the song ended, they stayed close, her head resting lightly against his chest. Ben felt the world narrow to this moment. String lights, soft music, and the quiet certainty that he didn't want to be anywhere else. Later, as he walked her to her door, Lila turned to him, eyes bright. Tonight was perfect, she said. Perfect is subjective, Ben said. But if you mean enjoyable and emotionally satisfying, then yes. She laughed, then kissed him, soft, lingering, and full of promise. When she pulled back, she whispered, You're different, Ben, and that's why I like you. Ben smiled, heart steady and sure. Accurate statement. Chapter 12, Layers of Real. Ben had always thought relationships were like design projects, structured, logical, with clear deliverables. But as he sat across from Lila on a quiet Wednesday evening, sharing takeout on her couch, he realized relationships were more like abstract art. Messy, layered, and sometimes hard to interpret. Okay, Lila said, popping a spring roll into her mouth. Confession time. Ben blinked. Confession implies wrongdoing. She laughed. Not that kind of confession. Just something personal. Ben nodded slowly. Proceed. She grinned. I used to think I wanted someone who was smooth, charming, always knew the right thing to say. But then I met you. Ben tilted his head. And that changed your preference? Completely, she said. You're honest. You're thoughtful. And yeah, sometimes you say things that make me want to throw a pillow at you. But you never pretend. Ben considered this. Pretending seems inefficient. Exactly, she said, smiling. You're real, Ben. And that matters more than perfect. Ben felt something warm settle in his chest. Accurate statement. They ate in comfortable silence for a while, until Lila asked, What about you? What did you think you wanted? Ben thought carefully. Someone patient. Someone who doesn't mind clarifications. Someone who laughs even when I don't understand why. Lila's smile softened. Sounds like me. Yes, Ben said simply. It does. Later, they curled up on the couch, a movie playing in the background. Lila rested her head on his shoulder, and Ben felt the weight of her trust. A quiet, steady thing that made his pulse slow in the best way. You know, she murmured, you've gotten better at nuance. Ben frowned. Define better. You didn't correct the movie's historical inaccuracies, she teased. I noticed them, Ben said, but I prioritized your enjoyment. She laughed softly. See? Progress. Ben smiled. I'm learning. As the credits rolled, Lila turned to him, her expression serious now. Ben, do you ever worry? About what? About us. About whether this will work. Ben considered the question. Statistically, relationships fail more often than they succeed. But statistics don't account for individual variables. She blinked. That's oddly comforting. It means outcomes aren't predetermined, Ben said, and I intend to optimize ours. Her laugh was shaky, but her eyes were bright. You're impossible. I'm literal, he said softly, and committed. She kissed him then, slow, deep, and full of promise. When she pulled back, she whispered, Me too. Ben held her close, feeling something he couldn't quantify. Something beyond logic, beyond precision. Something messy and beautiful and real. And for once, he didn't need to clarify it. Chapter 13. Epilogue. Literal love. 3 months later, Ben Kraft stood in the middle of his apartment, staring at a banner he'd designed himself. It read, in bold Helvetica, Happy anniversary of our first official date. Tyler, sprawled on the couch eating chips, squinted at it. You know most people just say, Happy anniversary, right? Ben shook his head. That's ambiguous. Which anniversary? Of meeting? Of dating? Of marriage? Specificity matters. Tyler groaned. You're hopeless. I'm consistent, Ben said. adjusting the banner so it hung perfectly straight. Lila arrived a few minutes later, carrying a bottle of wine and wearing that smile, the one that made Ben feel like the world was less complicated than he thought. She stopped when she saw the banner and burst out laughing. "Oh my God, Ben, you're unbelievable." "Accurate statement," Ben said. "Do you like it?" "I love it," she said, setting the wine down and kissing him lightly. "You're the only person I know who could make Helvetica romantic." Ben smiled. Fonts matter. They sat down to dinner. Takeout from the same rooftop cafe where they danced under string lights. Lila poured wine and Ben raised his glass. "To clarity," he said. "And kindness," she added. "And learning," Ben said. Slowly, she grinned. "You've come a long way." Ben considered that. "I still misunderstand things." "Like what?" she teased. "Yesterday, someone told me to knock on wood," Ben said. "I asked where the wood was." Lila laughed so hard she nearly spilled her wine. "Ben, never change." "I don't intend to," he said, "but I'll keep improving." After dinner, they curled up on the couch, the banner hanging proudly above them. Lila rested her head on his shoulder, and Ben felt that familiar warmth, the one that had started as curiosity and grown into something he couldn't quantify. "You know," she murmured, "I used to think love was about finding someone who understood every nuance." Ben tilted his head. "And now I think it's about finding someone who tries," she said softly. "Someone who cares enough to learn." Ben smiled, pressing a kiss to her hair. Accurate statement. As the city lights twinkled outside, Ben realized something. He didn't need to master nuance to make this work. He just needed to keep showing up, honest, literal, and willing to grow. And maybe, in a world full of mixed signals and vague phrases, that was the clearest truth of all.